Well, good afternoon. Thank you for invitation. I was thinking about talking in Portuguese. Last week I told to my English teacher that I would try to explain in English, to speak in English. So here I am. I'm sorry about my bad English. But I'm a journalist and I'm researching in São Paulo, the huge state in Brazil. São Paulo, the capital, has 10 million of people, 11 million of people, where the metropolitan area has 22 million of inhabitants. So it's a huge city. And I share my presentation in two parts. First, I'm gonna explain about the context, the reality of São Paulo. And secondly, I will explain the role of journalism and deal with these issues, human rights and public security issues. This is the São Paulo maps. São Paulo has a peculiar and tragic story of violence. From 60 to 2010, 130,000 homicides. Here's in the map, let me see. Here's in the map is the homicides in 2000. You can see is in the border of the city, is the poor part of the city. In the central part of the city, the richest part is more Pacific. So in São Paulo there are zones of war and kingdoms of peace. 2000, on average is 2,000 a year. Here is the curve of homicides. 1999, São Paulo has the highest point in the curve, 65 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants. If you're thinking war in Iraq, Iraq had from 2004 to 2007 had 64 homicides per 1,000 inhabitants, the period of war, so you can imagine the situation in São Paulo. After 2000, as you can see in the curve, the homicides start to drop, but I'm not telling you about that. It's my the issue of my research, but it's very interesting to speak about this. But let's the next step, because I'm talking about journalism. So São Paulo doesn't have a regular war. So why do we keep killing each other is the question. It's an important question. So thinking about our public security institution, how their members have been acting in order to control the homicides in the last year. They kill. São Paulo has I think maybe it's a strong sentence to talk about our policy, but for the last 40 years, some police in São Paulo and a lot of policies in Brazil has killed very much. This is the symbol of the police in Brazil, a skull. They show the symbol, they assume this symbol for themselves, and they use it. From 1981 to 2005, 4,216 homicides committed by the police. So you can see in 60 and 70 and 75, and after 80 to 2005, 568 kills by year on average. The last year, after São Paulo's homicides has dropped 8%, police keep killing and kill 926 people. So the last year, even with the São Paulo pacification, police keep killing. So is this the image of policing internet in São Paulo? A lot of cartoons and graffitis showing about the violence in police. And the problem, lack of trust in institutions of security and in institutions of security and justice. Yes, in peripheries, the poor districts, black people from Brazil, and you can see in these images. So this is a former security of public security. He used to be in charge in 70s. The next week or the next 2 weeks, we're gonna publish an article about historical homicides that he has been committed. He has already died, but we discover something about it. He's gonna publish a story about him. He's the death squad made in police during the 60s period. Here I'm telling about the idea of homicide as a form of control the private crimes. In 80s, the neighborhood starts some groups who couldn't count on police start to practice private justice in these poor neighborhoods, and it starts to kill, to try to control the problem of crime. It's a kind of mentality or ideology that homicide is not a problem. It's a tool of control of crime. It's a solution. Homicide is a solution. It's not a problem. And homicides are not the bad guys. They are the heroes. So it's until nowadays in Brazil, when you kill some marginal, some criminal, you are supported by part of the population, and it's a kind of way of doing justice that we believe. Well, I'm going to split because I put some. I'm going to discussion about the media. So here is a prison in Brazil. It's another problem that we in press need to get into and to discuss. So media has a role in covering this story. Why it's important to write about human rights and public security. Violence weakens democracy. Violence is a symptom of fragile institutions. Media must help to strengthen democracy, casting light to the shadows of democracy system. So what's the difference between journalism and entertainment? So they are different things, and I think it's important to discuss this. Tabloids and popular TV programs make entertainment because explore anxiety and fears among population, sensation of vulnerability instead of inform, reinforce sensation of fear, showing bodies, bullets, etc. Reinforce stereotypes, shows a vigilant spirit, punish before judgment. It's a kind of belief. Oversimplistic way of seeing the world, evil versus good. Entertainment journalism invokes a kind of ritual that seems to replace justice in society like those in Middle Ages. Revenge and privacy just in public. Audience feel satisfied seeing a sacrifice of a scapegoat, like in Middle Ages and this kind of things. So there are two photos important in journalism of public security and human rights. This one is a massacre in Carandiru. It's a prison in São Paulo in 90s. 111 people was killed. So the police told that the people inside the prison start to try to kill with knives. Because of that, they start to shoot them. So we took this picture inside the prison. Was very important because it was a kind of proof that the policemen are ordering the prisoners to change the scene of crime. So it was important evidence. Only the last year we saw the punishment of the policemen who killed them, and because of one of this picture was very important for they found the guilty in the jury, but after 20 years later. So in this picture is very emotional, and it's a kind of situation in 1997, boys in the streets and this policeman putting the arm in his mouth. So human rights and public security journal, two main challenges: control of deviance in power, accountability for misleading action that need to be fixed, politicking deviation actions because publicity of mistakes and unfair practices shame authorities and force power to review its actions. It's a terrible picture, but I just put here because police last year killed 4 people in São Paulo, and they told that this guy shot before, but they every time they tell that. But after they killed the people, they took pictures of them in their cellular phones and sent to their families by WhatsApp. So it's a kind of situation that, so we published this in our channel, and now ONU is investigating the situation, and they took pictures of the guys in the cars and sent to the families. So it's a kind of, I think I need to, this is a kind that I explained before, but I need to finish. This guy is a 7-year-old boy that he was condemned by a child jury because he was accused to steal a car, but he was inside his apartment. He didn't go out that day, and the policeman invaded his apartment, and he was arrested and condemned in the jury. So we published the evidence that he was inside his apartment, because the elevator, there is a camera inside, and they record his images going down, and so we could prove, and we published in the morning. During the afternoon, he was released. He was free. So I'm going to conclude. Sorry, I think so I'm going to split this, and only only to say that I'm very skeptical about our success to convince people. I think our challenge is to talk with people who doesn't agree with us. I think we don't need to talk with people that support human rights. We need to challenge. Our challenge is to talk and to explain to people who doesn't agree with us to change their minds. So here's a blog of policemen. Nowadays, internet, it's a huge problem because they are splitting their values and their wrong values, and this situation that they just kill the bad guy, and they put into internet, and they show everybody, and this situation is very hard to deal with because it's a kind of reinforcement of this idea. So it's a challenge, but we need to face it. So it's a kind of, it's a behavior, a backfire or suicide behavior. This is the argument that we need to show, and we need to push, because the people call us of defensor of marginals. They say that we defend criminals, and we need to argue, and we need to show that this behavior is a backfire or a suicide behavior. We are testimonying this situation. So this is the site, Ponte, that I work, and my email, if someone, okay? Thank you.